Today we're talking about why INFJs aren't mean enough. And if this title triggered you, then welcome to the club, because it triggered me too. And this is the number one indication that you aren't mean enough, which pretty much means you're not taking care enough of yourself. You're being overly kind towards others because your interpretation of what is too mean is actually exactly where we're supposed to be. It's that area where we're thriving, where we're actually kind, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. So today we're talking about why INFJs have such a hard time being mean enough. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. And if you say, I want to start my INFJ Epic Life today, I want to get started right away, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Reason number one why INFJs aren't mean enough is because we're not objective. The way we're set up, so our entire being, our cognitive functions, our whole approach to life is always based on how others are feeling. So that in itself means we're not just looking at a situation from a third eye perspective. I mean, nobody does that. But as INFJs, we have an incredibly difficult time at this. It's so much easier for us to understand if something is mean towards somebody else, if something is unfair when it comes to somebody else, but it's incredibly difficult to figure out if we're being kind and respectful towards ourselves. So what does that imply? It implies that we in itself are already going out of our way to be kind to others, nice to others, and that might even mean that we're not being mean in situations which actually deserve it. Because being mean in the end can be all about standing up for yourself, right? This isn't something like, okay, now you're mean or now you're not being mean. This is a subjective way of looking at a situation. You as an INFJ might interpret a behavior of yours as incredibly mean when somebody else might look at you and say, all you did was just protect yourself. All you did was just say enough. That's it. So we have to make sure that we first off understand what is going on. Are we being objective? And the truth is, no, we're not. That's where we're coming from. And then we have to decide, okay, if that is the case, if I'm not being objective, then how can I look at the situation in such a way that can help me create a reality that is still kind towards others, but is also kinder to myself, right? And that implies that we look at how we act and say, maybe I should be a little bit more mean. The second reason why INFJs aren't mean enough is because we look at the group experience. Meaning, if you're in a situation and there's you and there's another person, you as an INFJ are automatically looking at how can I create the best situation for this group, for those two people. You're not looking at it from a perspective of what is best for me, and then I might take into consideration what is best for them. And so we look at the situation as in how can I make sure that the overall group is happy. And the way we do that is we start off with the other person, because for us, it's not like we're aware of what's going on. Right? It's not that we go into a situation and say, oh, okay, if I make sure that the other person feels comfortable, if I make sure that I'm not doing anything to trigger the other person, if I do everything in my power to not be mean, like that will have a negative effect on me. We're not aware of that. We have to come to terms that this is one of the main reasons why we as INFJs aren't mean enough. So it's not just the first reason that is all about, okay, I care so much about the other person, but it's also about understanding that we want to create happiness for the entire group. These realizations are incredibly important because they help us to learn our lessons, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in this video. But now let's get to reason number 3 why INFJs aren't mean enough. Reason number 3 is we simply don't care enough. And when I say we don't care enough, I honestly mean we look at, oh, okay, that person is being mean towards me, that person is, putting their emotional garbage onto us, and we in that instance have no understanding of what that causes us. We can really look at ourselves and say, okay, I take myself out of the situation. It really doesn't affect me. And this is, again, a way of how we're set up. Is it the way that we have to be? Is it a way that is always going to stay this way? No, it's not. And this is also one of the ways that we're going to learn how to deal with that overall situation. But before we get there, we have to really come to terms with, I'm not doing this because, it's okay for me to suffer. It's that we honestly, to a very big extent, are not aware that we suffer. It's like, whatever. We have numbed ourselves out. We're so great at hollowing ourselves out. And when we do that, our own emotions don't matter to us. And not in a way of, they're just not as important as other people's emotions. We're just not aware of them. We honestly don't care. And if you don't care about your own emotions in that moment, you're not aware of them, you're not experiencing them, of course you're going to go out of your way to be kind to somebody else, because guess what? That makes you feel better as well. And you're not aware that you're not being really kind to yourself. Reason number 4, why INFJs aren't mean enough is because we haven't really learned unconditional love. Unconditional love is, a fantasy to begin with. Nobody is really giving unconditional love. But the closest you would come to that is probably when you're a child. Like, that is what is expected. That you, as a child, receive unconditional love no matter where you are or how you are. That, your parents, your peers, authority figures, adults in general, make you feel good by you being yourself. And we as INFJs have a hard time with that. Like, that is something a lot of us haven't learned, because the way we are set up, we're so aware of how other people are feeling that because we need others so much as children, we have conditioned ourselves to believing that, what I do is going to determine if I'm going to get love. And so we have conditioned ourselves from an early age on that it is based on our behavior, that it's based on, how well we make other people feel. Because the moment, we do something or we act in a way that is in our own best interest, and that contradicts to, how a parent wants to look at you, or how they want to experience you, or their understanding of you, or their, imagination of how you should be, if there's a contradiction there, they're going to show that to us. And, this is nothing that is INFJ specific, but what is INFJ specific here is that we understand what happens early on in a way of, okay, if I do this, that is the emotional reaction I'm getting. And I feel that emotional reaction very deeply. Other types might not be aware of that so much because they're completely focused on other things. INFJs are hyper focused on that reaction. And when from an early childhood on, you are hyper focused on these kind of reactions, you're never going to learn that it's okay to stand up for yourself. So that is one more reason why we as INFJs in general aren't mean enough, because we as children from a very early age on haven't learned that it's okay to stand up for the things that make us happy, because the price to do that is just way too high. Reason number 5, why INFJs have such a hard time with being mean enough is because we are incredibly afraid of being on our own psychologically. So INFJs are, different than most people. Like, we already know that. And we also know that we tend to do our own thing, to be sort of observers, to not be somebody who needs people constantly. But what we underestimate is how much we're actually affected by other people thinking that we're selfish, by other people thinking that we're self-centered, that we're mean, whatever it may be. Because the consequence of that would mean that other people would abandon us. They would look at us and they would say, oh, like, that is not a nice person. I don't want to be around them. And we would sort of feel like they're in the right to do that. Like, if people think you're weird, we sort of get that. Like, it doesn't really bother us. We're like, okay, yeah, I'm different than you. I know this my whole life. Like, big story. That's okay. But it's those kind of reactions of you're selfish, you're not taking care of other people, you're just focusing on yourself. Those are things that really deeply affect us. And we're incredibly afraid of that because the result is we would have to be on our own. And we would have to make sure that we feel we're good enough on our own. Although people around you might think you're, a jackass, you're selfish, you're mean, like all of those things that we talked about in the beginning that might make you feel so triggered by this title. This is one of the reasons why it's so difficult for INFJs to actually go through with that, with being mean, or pretty much just standing up for ourselves and just, experiencing it as being mean, because that would mean that you would have to feel like you're good enough, as in a good enough person. Although there are people around you who mirror back to you, no, you're mean, you're bad, you're, selfish, whatever it may be. This is one of the scariest things for us because we're so good at making people feel like we care about them, because this is one of the ways that we make people like us. We have learned, okay, if I'm being kind, if I'm not triggering other people, if I'm not being mean, then people will have no reason to dislike me. They might not, want to be around me so much, or they might not think I'm like super interesting, but they're not going to have any negative emotions towards me. And we have conditioned ourselves and learned how to be this way for our entire life. So now that we know why it's so hard for INFJs to be mean enough, it's about time that we ask ourselves, do we want to be mean? Right? And of course, if you ask a question like that, every answer would be no. Why would I want to be mean? Again, we have to understand what being mean actually means. If you are being triggered by just reading this title, trust me, we're not being mean enough, meaning we're not standing up enough for ourselves. We are more focused on making other people comfortable than we are on making ourselves comfortable. One of the examples I always like to give is if you are in an emotionally or physically abusive relationship, the victim in that scenario feels like they're not being kind enough. They feel like it's their fault. So there is no objective way of recognizing when we're being like too kind or too mean. The only thing we can really ask ourselves is, am I giving myself the same respect and the same appreciation as I'm giving to others? Like that in itself should already be the first goal. In the end, of course, we want to make sure that no matter how kind we are to others, we're not doing it at the expense of our own well-being. We first take care of ourselves, we make sure we're good, and when we feel good, then we're going to be good to others as well. But that we don't really sacrifice our own well-being. So how do we do that? Like, how do we get to this place? And trust me, this is a vital point when it comes to getting out of depressive states, when it comes to creating your INFJ epic life. If you don't value your own feelings, if you don't value, what is important to you, you're not even aware of it, there's no way for you to start building that life that is based on what you want, and creating that life that feels like it's in your control. So the way we do that is we have to recognize that we're going to feel like we're being mean. There's no way around it, because most likely your current status quo is, if I'm being kind to myself in the way I'm being kind to others, like that would be over the top. Again, listen to me. We're not even talking about like you standing up for yourself way more than you are for others. What we want is to be, as kind to yourself as you are to others. Meaning, if you're allowing other people, to have their opinions, if you're allowing other people to, have certain qualities about them that are, not that comfortable for you, but you're okay with them because that's who they are, then that's how you should be with yourself. So ask yourself next time when you're around somebody that, doesn't make you feel that good, or situations where you feel you're not being appreciated enough, how can you stand up for yourself and know that you're going to feel like you're being mean? Like very often we go into the situation and we want to, say things in a certain way that won't make us come across as mean. And we're so skilled at this. But by doing it this way, we're actually bypassing all of that work that needs to happen within us, which is on some level, we feel if we're standing up for ourselves, we would be incredibly mean. And that's the place we have to be at, psychologically speaking. So we have to trigger that part of us that would feel, okay, if I say this right now, if I stand up for what is important to me, what will make me feel better, I will feel really, really mean. And I need to go through that emotion, because only once you feel it, you can finally heal it. You can let go of it. And then you feel like, oh, it's my birthright to make sure that I can breathe easily, that I'm comfortable. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way over and over again just so the people around me don't think I'm mean. And once you start getting into the habit of that, it will feel like the best thing you've ever done. And it will give you a new basis that will allow you to thrive when up until this point, you just continue to survive. If you're asking yourself why people are not appreciating you enough, then chances are that people are not aware of all the sacrifices that you're making just to make them comfortable. You deserve to make that step happen. I know it's difficult, but I also know it's incredibly worth it. Remember, if you want some more guidelines into how to get that process started, then check out the formula to the INFJ Epic Life. And if you want to take it to the next level, then get the audio guide. This also applies to all the relationship dynamics we talked about today. All the information you need, you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video, What Happens Once the INFJ Stops Trying to Be Social.